All right, so this should work. Let's make sure. We'll give it like a minute. Put a little bit of music on in the background. I don't think you guys will be able to hear it, but it's cool. I can't just sit here and talk to myself. I have to have some sort of music in the background. Oh, there we go. Cool. What's up, guys? What's up, Marcel? What's up, Raman? Or Raman? I'm so sorry if I said your name wrong. If you guys hear any like echo or anything in the background, let me know, because I do have the music through my speakers and not a headset. I don't like wearing a headset. I feel like I look like a dork, and I want to be a dork. Dorks wear a headset. Wearing a headset with gauges doesn't help. Rory, what's up, man? What's up, SVT? Let me know if you guys can hear everything all right. My dog seems like he wants to tear apart the Amazon man. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not, but we'll work through it. See what's up, Brando. Olerin, what's up? Dorks that make money. Very true, Alpha. That's true. Would you mind taking a look at NVIDIA Live, please? I got you, man. Yeah. So, yeah, today I haven't really done too much as far as trading. I've only exited one position and entered another position. I have a good amount of trades open right now, like honestly, I think close to like 10 to 12. If you're part of the paid membership, you guys know what positions those are. Looking at Tesla, honestly, like I'm still trading this strategy just because I told myself I was going to stick to it and I was going to trade the strategy no matter how that went. And that's a problem sometimes, right? Like I personally would have taken profits for Tesla today up at 214.50 because it was up like $3,500. We're getting a classic double top. I'm not even looking at the stochastic RSI right now, but I would bet the stochastic RSI is probably crossing down from the top. The RSI is pointing down. I don't think Tesla's going to push through this. So what I think is going to happen is we'll probably see Tesla pull back, and I think I will end up exiting tomorrow somewhere around 204, 203, and probably end up taking about $1,000 profit when it should have been a $3,500 profit. But the name of the game is that we're following a strategy. We'll talk about the strategy if you guys want. I can show you the bot and all that stuff, since I haven't really done a live with it yet, which it's still in a position. That and TQQQ bot are the two ones that I made publicly. They're both still in positions, but that's just a part of it, right? Like you have to trade the strategy, and if you don't trade the strategy, you start to use like human intervention based upon what you know and what you think is a quality trade and what you think is a quality exit. You could become better, but the problem is you don't have the data to back that up because you truly don't know, because you can't refine the search and the criteria and the back testing around the specific thing that you're looking for. So yeah, I don't think Tesla's going to hit 220 side by this Friday. I don't know anymore. I don't think so. Like it looked like we were going to, but we have this classic double top, 4 candles in a row though. We're closing below. I don't think we're going to see 220 by the end of this week, but it depends. Where we're closing right now is not the best. And we do have a bit of a divergence. So I'm still in my position. I'm holding on to my position reluctantly. I wish I would have just taken profit, but it's whatever. We're trading strategy. Doesn't care what happens with the money right now. Ramon, can you show us how to set up the bot? I got you. Yeah, we'll definitely do that. Let's take a look, Marcel, at NVIDIA right now. So let's look at NVIDIA on the daily. If you guys have any questions or anything, sometimes my charts just look wild. Yeah, NVIDIA is kind of in this like weird moment where like technically I would go short or start to go short here, or at the very least I would take profits on the bigger time frames. If you look at the weekly time frame, big descending wedge, something we trade a lot, right? Bullish divergence, something we trade a lot, broke out of the wedge that we talked about, pushed up, tested this resistance level of 189, pulled back, tested the 200 EMA, pushed up. What do you think is going to happen here? If I were to ask you guys, like just judging by how this is setting up, or technically how you would trade this, like what would normally happen here? Would this be like, yeah, ABCD pattern? Yeah, so for me, when I look at this, we have this ABCD here that I outlined, yep. But if you look, like this is that major golden Fibonacci resistance level on the weekly. So like this push back up to 250 is a 50%, not actually like 50% in shares. When I say that, I mean 50% of the highlighted area on the Fibonacci, which is something important. But when we move up into that level, that is that 50% fib from the big move, which tends to be a major resistance level. So to be quite honest, like if I got into NVIDIA over the past couple of weeks, I'd be starting to scale out. and I'd probably start going short at 250. The thing is, we have earnings coming up on I think it's the 20th, sometime next week, which will, it's the 22nd. Yeah, so it's 2 days before my birthday. So in 4 days from, or 4 trading days from now, we're gonna have earnings, and that's just gonna fuck with everything as far as like pattern sake and what you would normally trade. So for me, like, I just wouldn't touch Nvidia. I think the RVR is just not worth it here. If you're in it, let the profits ride if you want. We're starting to get into that overbought territory, but personally, I wouldn't be looking to enter it. I think I'll probably go short at like 254 for like a year out, and then set a stop loss at like 260. Jason, what's up? Yo, money, what's up, man? Can you show us how to set up this bot? Let's do it up, Ramen or Raymond, or geez, I'm so sorry, however you pronounce your name correctly. So what do you feel on an Airbnb continued upside? I'll definitely talk about that too. So all right, how do I set up this bot? There's a couple of things I want to preface before we start to talk about this. Is there's a couple of things. So number one, when we start talking about bots and we start talking about returns and we start talking about numbers, there's 2 major things you have to understand, or 3. One, the numbers that we're looking at is if you executed this to perfection, which rarely happens, right? Rarely happens, because yes, even though you're following a protocol, you still have trouble following it to perfection, which is fine. Number 2, the other issue that you're going to have is taxes. So unless you're doing this in like a Roth IRA or something where you don't have a lot of taxes or any taxes at all, the numbers that you see are going to be skewed differently. It still doesn't matter. There's still life-changing numbers if you do this over decades and decades, but that's something you have to understand. When you see like a 5,000% return over 4 years, that's really not correct, because we're not accounting taxes, because that money's compounding before the taxes are taken out inside of the simulator. So something you have to realize. But to be quite honest, I've ran the numbers on just maxing a Roth IRA account out, trading it yourself with $6,000 a year, maxing the $6,000 a year out, and then trading upon this way. And then you don't pay any taxes until you hopefully you never take the money out, and you can use it in the correct way to leverage against it and do whatever in the future, which I can talk about later on. But taxes is a big problem. And then the third part is, you can't get those types of numbers due to the size of the actual trade. So for instance, like, let's just actually use this as a quick number and a quick example. So let's use like my Tesla bot as as an example at this moment that we're going to talk about. So the bot that I currently have set up, it's in a position. All it is that we enter whenever the 11 EMA crosses to the upside. So within TrendSpider or whatever you're doing, you don't even have to set it up. Like I talked about this morning, like, you can physically go through for 20 minutes a day and just look at the criteria. The criteria that we are talking about specifically right now is, I don't want to say so easy that like you should not need a bot for it, but the main reason I'm running a bot is so that I can alert my team in like real time. If not, I would just be sitting here doing this myself. So while I do work with TrendSpider and I do like TrendSpider, it's not something you have to spend that kind of money on. But what we're looking for is pretty simple criteria. We're looking for the 11 EMA to cross up through the 22 EMA. That's the first thing. And then the second thing we're looking for is the RSI to be over 50 while that is happening. And so specifically what I have messed with is exiting when the 11 crosses down through the 22, or exiting if we have not gone up by 2% within our first 10 candles. And that number at the end is the super spicy number that's very important. And that number specifically, like, I'm just going to be honest, is the main reason why every single person can't just sit here and do it. It's kind of like ChatGPT, where everyone's like, oh, I have ChatGPT. Like, I like, now I can start this SMMA business, or I can go start this business, or like, dude, I can just, and it's like, if everybody has it, it's really not that good, first of all. But I'm not shit talking on ChatGPT. Like, literally, I use Jasper AI for everything. But it's one of those things that, like, ChatGPT and AI and strategies and all of this shit is only as good as the person who is using the instrument, right? Because I can set the entries and exits And me doing this for 8 years can look at the data and understand like this is where the problem is. Like we could have much better returns if we just pulled this number down and then pulled this number up and then added a couple of more candles to this and then pulled, like, that's where the money is, right? And so every ticker is different, but Tesla, for some reason, of the numbers I've tested, exiting after 10 candles on 2%, right? And our net return is a 1,472% return in 4 years, right? So we're going to play devil's advocate and say that we have a Roth IRA. So $6,000 and we have 1,472% divided by 4 years, which would give us a disgusting, here, let me do this, compound interest calc money chimp. All right. So we're going to play devil's advocate and just say that we would get that return, right? So $6,000 to start, annual addition is $6,000, and we're going to give this thing 4 years, say 4 years to grow. And an average return of 368%, which is what it says. So non-taxed, within 4 years, you'd have $6 million. Everyone's like, that's fucking impossible and that's horseshit, right? The truth of the matter is it's not impossible and it's not horseshit, but you would have had to do this to fucking perfection. Like, you would have to take these positions without any doubt, without thinking. And it's not horseshit. Like, the numbers are there for themselves. Now, is this indicative of what will happen in the future? Of course it's not. The bot itself is not doing anything that isn't normal. The only thing that this specific strategy is doing is having us enter when we flash a bullish signal and then get out as soon as that signal is not there, or to get out if we didn't make a big enough move within the first day. So it's like we are only in the trade if we enter and the shit fucking rips. We're only in, and we're where the money is here is that we're risking so little to test this strategy, and our outsized returns are so high that it's worth it. Like in this instance, we would have taken in 4 years, 1 position a week on average, or 5 years. So it'd be like 64 trades a year. So yeah, you would have taken like 1.2 trades per week. It would have had a 50-50 chance. So you would have only made money 50% of the time, and you would have lost money 50% of the time. At one point by doing this, you would have been down 50% almost on your account. So that's the first thing, right? You look at this number like $6 million, impossible. But like, let's be honest, if you were following this strategy and your account over 6 to 7 months was down 45%, would you really continue to do this? Probably not. Everyone freaks the fuck out when their account's down like 10%, right? Which is a lot from a risk management standpoint. Like, you should never be losing 10% of your account in a day. You should never be losing more than 3% of your account in a day. And many of you are probably like, Jesus Christ, that's, I mean, whatever. But it's the truth, right? Like, manage $1,000 like you'd manage 5 million, right? And that, going back to that part, is important when we look at this compounding aspect here, because this whole system works up to about, probably up to about $4 million to $5 million. Can anybody tell me why this would not work? Like if I did this, right? Let's say 20 years. That means we'd have $346 trillion. How come there's no way in hell that would work? How come once we get over like $3-4 million would this start to be impossible? Can anyone tell me? I'll give you a gold star. How come after like $2, $3, $4, or $5 million, this would be impossible to get a 368% return per year? No volume. Okay, so you start. Okay, yeah. So both of you guys are correct in the sense of it. Basically, what I'm trying to say is like you cannot move money like that around. Like you can't move $50 million around. Or $20 million or 100, like you can, depending on like if you're trading SPY, but like to get to $1 trillion, like Bezos can't go trading this strategy with like $50 billion or a million, or like, you know, you can do it up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 million, but to grow something like $100 million, even a couple of percent per year, is insane. You know what I mean? If you're only trading 1 to 3% of your, exactly, Rory, and that's all I do. I trade like max usually 2% of my account at a time. Now, these numbers, this is the other thing. A lot of people will look at this return, this 1400% return, and be like, oh my God, imagine if I had options. Imagine. No, your returns would, I can't say this for sure, right? But you'd probably be in a worse situation because this is not taking in account for like theta decay, implied volatility, like none of that. Is the 6 million if you traded all the compounded amount? Yeah, so that is if you traded like every single position that you took was in Tesla, 100% of your account for the 243 trades, which is something else you have to think about. Now, what I don't want to do is come on here and tell you, number one, that 1400% return in 4 years is impossible, because it's highly improbable, but nothing is impossible. It just isn't. But the one thing I want you to take away from these videos and from what we're engaging in is that you leave here with a system, right? Like the whole bullshit, like money talks, bullshit walks thing, but the whole like trading guru thing, I don't want you guys to trust me. Like, I don't want you to like, okay, like Pete will make me my money. Like, that's not what I do here. That's not what I'm here for. But at the end of the day, I want you to trust in the numbers, because all trading is confidence. Like I have such an indifferent mentality to making money and losing money, because I have had nothing in my life at all. And I was so fucking happy. And I've had more than I ever thought I was going to be able to. And I was like not ever happy. So to me, like, I don't give a fuck either way about money, and I don't give a fuck about the trades either way. I'm just trading a strategy. And that's what I want to push to you guys, is like, if you don't have confidence in yourself, have confidence in the system, right? Like, let's just use this is an example. It's probably going to be like pretty bad, but like whatever. Let's say that you're 400 pounds and you want to lose weight. You don't have discipline. Like, not sound like a dickhead, like you got to being 400 pounds because you don't have fucking discipline. It's just honest, right? And I feel that it's important to say I don't have the discipline. But I'm also a huge proponent that discipline, it shouldn't be something that you need to rely on every day. Because if you have a good system in place, you will not need discipline. If I have nothing but healthy food in my house, nothing but the best filtered water in my house, if I have nothing but, like, if I surround myself and all of my everything with the best systems in place, I don't need to use discipline, because it's just fucking there. It's easy. But what happens is I see a lot of people who come to me, which people think I make the most money when the market's going up. I don't. I make money when people are bleeding, unfortunately, because that's when they come to me and they're like, dude, I need help. Like, I thought I knew what I was doing, and I just don't. And I'm here with open arms all the time. Like, come on, bro. Like, I've been there. Like, I get it. And the fact that you feel this way is great, because this is the first step into like learning how to trade correctly. But for me, a lot of people come to me and they just have broken confidence and broken discipline, and they can't cut their losses fast enough. They don't know when to enter. They start to get paralysis. And what I've noticed is that it's harder for me to instill the confidence that I have in trading into you guys, because I don't do anything special. Like, I really don't. The reason I have confidence is I've just been doing this for so long, and after not blowing up everything I've ever worked for in 8 years and teaching thousands and thousands of people, like, I have the confidence to know myself, to not have an imposter syndrome anymore, but like to understand, like, you know what you're talking about. Most people don't have that, and that's okay. And that's why I like to give you these numbers, so that you can trust the system. Because going back to what we're saying about weight loss, if you want to lose weight, you buy a system. You don't go and buy a workout plan or buy a meal plan because you think your discipline is so fucking great. Like, you buy it because the system that the disciplined person created is applicable to you. And I don't think that life should be about discipline. It should be about systems. And yes, you'll have to use discipline in your life, of course. But as a trader, this is about a system. And when I talk about systems, I'm going to break this down in the future all the way down to what you do in the morning. Like nobody talks to me for the first 2 hours of me waking up. Like, every day I wake up at 7. I journal, I drink water, I walk, I meditate, I'll try to do some stretching, and then I will sit down and I'll start trading. If that system isn't in place and like I woke up and instead I, you know, got in a fight with my girlfriend and then like my dog shit all over the house and I have no coffee in the house and like I'm probably not going to trade that day. That just sounds like a bad day. You know what I mean? Like it sounds like a shit day. It's even down to those small things. So looking at this bot, the way that we are setting it up is the 1122 cross up, 1122 cross down, and then exiting after 10 candles if we don't close for a 2.5% profit, which will give us a very, very sizable entry and exit. And you can see here our average return is going to be somewhere around, let's see, let's go back up. Average win is 5.7%, average loss is 2.8%. All right, now that I've ranted, Jesus Christ, dude, I can't not rant. Molo Mad, you think Tesla will hit 100 again? I do. Yeah, I do think Tesla will hit 100 again. I don't feel entirely confident about that, right? Like I have a huge Tesla position set up here, like for the long term in case that doesn't happen. All of this is hedging against yourself. When I take a bet, so like overarchingly, I believe the market's going to shit over the next year. I believe so. If we want, we can go into it and why, but I believe so. However, I have about, as a hedge, I have half of my net worth in the market. And inversely, if I was like super bullish and I thought the market was going to run to all-time highs, I would get in, but with about 60% of my max profit, or my total, maybe 70% of my total net worth, and then throw 30 to 40% in at the bottom. But you also have to remember, like, this is why I have trouble, I guess, like kind of giving long-term advice, because everybody wants to invest long-term, but we're all at different stages in our life, right? Like if you're making $4,000 a month, like instead of taking an extra $200 or $500 or $400 a month and like investing it in the S&P 500 so that you have $1 million by the time you're 60, like take that money and go learn a fucking skill. Like I don't want $1 million when I'm 60. Like if I can't make $10 million by the time I'm 60, like fuck, you know, personally, that's just me. Like everyone doesn't have to think that way. But I feel that like when you're younger and you have less money, you have a better chance of building a skill. Like even learning this and understanding this, I'm not saying that you're going to go take your $1,000 and turn it into 10 million. But the fact of the matter is that if you learn to trade 1,000, you can learn to trade 10,000, you can learn to trade 100,000, and then you can learn to trade 1,000,000. All right, I need to start answering questions and not responding so long-windedly. Christ, man, it's so bad. See, Virgin ripped. No, I did not. I don't think Tesla's going to hit 220 this week, sadly. How do you feel about Airbnb to the continued upside? Airbnb, I grabbed some Airbnb long-term not too long ago. I grabbed a shitload of Airbnb long-term, a ton of Palantir long-term, a little bit of Neo long-term, some Affirm long-term, Shopify, PayPal, Meta. I'm up. This is, I mean, it's not always this way. And I don't say this, but like, this is why having patience and money is where you make massive changes and to your net worth. Like if you're somebody who could have gotten in all of these companies 3-4 months ago and you're up 60, 70, 80, 90, 100% in the first month and a half, and you could walk away and for the whole fucking year, like you're good. You know what I mean? But I mean, it's just really good if somebody got in down there. Would you look at UNG? Let's do it up. United States natural gas weekly is really overbought or oversold. So look, all right, I'll be honest here to keep this short. I hate trading stuff that's trending down. I just hate it. That being said, we're finding a good bottom. Point of control down at $8. Bullish divergence. I think it's worth entering here, setting a stop loss at 770 and then taking profits between like 11, 14, and 15. To be quite honest, it's pretty good. You start influencing the stock prices. Not yet now. harder to get a bigger percent. It's true. If you trade only 1 to 3%, it's true. Is the 6 million? Yes, that's trading all of it. Learn how to trade, how not to follow the trade. Exactly. Wonder what the amount would be if you traded 3% each compounded over 4 years and the bot and a Roth. Yeah, so Rory, I don't know how we would run that, but that's kind of what I'm doing. Because you have to remember, like, certain tickers will get certain returns. And so you can set this up to just only run on like certain tickers, but like I would think somewhere you're going to outpace the market. From all of the research that I've been looking into is that you're going to outpace the market, at least if the market is going up. Like if you were to even do this, for instance, on like ticker, like I think we did it the one day going short, and it's like you would have lost money this year on Tesla, of course, because you're going long on a stock that's just fucking plummeting. But I think you would have only lost 10% versus like you would have lost 65% or 70% on Tesla. So it works both ways, and yeah, you can set it up for a bunch of different things, which is what I'm trying to test. What I'm trying to do is bring it up from a 50-50 coin toss to like a 70%, because I feel that people will have a hard time following a bot that's like wrong 50% of the time, even if you're going to make fucking bank from it. Let me see. Olarin, hear you. I have trouble sleeping and lots of friends also stay up late, always on Discord or FaceTime each other. I feel you, dude. I need to start sleeping better. But yeah, I mean, having a good, like, dude, honestly, I could never in my life move to the West Coast, like, trading with a group and shit. Like, I couldn't wake up at 5:30 in the morning and start trading. Like, bless you if you do. But, I couldn't do that. I would just be too tired. How do you see SPY, or how do you see SPY correcting soon? I do. I think SPY will probably, I was really surprised that we got a rally off of those numbers from CPI. Inverted head and shoulders. It's looking like SPY is going to test 402 or 420. What we're really looking for is kind of this like pivot level. So this is what we're looking for. We're going to be in no man's land for a while, which is why I really don't like where the market is right now. Right when the market's down on the 200 SMA weekly, that's like buy this shit up, and if it dumps, it doesn't matter because it was just a great entry. But this is like in the no man's land. We have to push over 420 and hold to move up to all-time highs, but breaking 400 would mean we're going to get a push down to the lows. So all I'm doing right now is just kind of chilling and trading the strategy. But to be quite honest, the best way to trade right now would just be through like selling cash secured puts. It just requires a ton of money, but it would be really good to do that. But I do think we could see SPY pull back to like 402, 403, 404. Marcel, what do you think about Elliott waves? I don't really use Elliott waves. I don't really use pitchforks. I'm sure like I could make a video on them, and I've contemplated doing it before. But I'm sure that there is validity in them. There's validity in most indicators, especially the bigger indicators like an Elliott wave. The main reason that there's so much is just because there's confluence. Like people use it. The bigger the indicator, the more people that use it, the more people will react when a stock is near that indicator. So I don't use them, but like I have friends who use them. Like I have friends who use everything. Money flows, like I use those sometimes. On balance volume, stochastic. Sometimes I throw in RSI. Most of the time though, I'm just looking at like the most basic shit, because that's when it's just nuts, but like that's when the voice is the clearest to be heard, right? Like when you have too much going on in your life, let alone trading, like you can't hear the simplest of like inner voices to tell you to do something. And what I mean by that with the trade is, for most things, I can look at a chart and instantly, like within a second, there's a book that was written by Malcolm Gladwell called Blink. But it reminds me a lot like that, where like I can just look at a chart setup and pretty well be like, yeah, it's not good. Good, no go, go, no go. Or looking at like, depending upon what our trigger sets are. But for this, it's like when I look at something like this, I'm like, I don't have that clarity. So I'm just not going to trade Tesla, or not trade Tesla. I'm not going to trade SPY for the next couple of weeks. But that's what we're looking for. So I don't use Elliott waves, is because I want the least amount of, probably I would say the least amount of conflicting things. Maybe you can make a short on why you think the market will be bad for the next year, and I would watch. Yeah, long story, I mean, so yeah, I'll do it, but short story long, I should say. I just don't think inflation's done. I think that we've seen the Fed pull back too soon. I think they wanted to continue to raise at 0.5. I think politicians and then the other half of the Fed that wanted this thing pushed or pulled back, I should say, and be more dovish. We've seen that in these numbers, and we saw these numbers yesterday come through worse than expected. The market seemed to not care that much, which this is what I'm saying. The market never acts the way it should. In my opinion, when we see that, I'm like, all right, like that's not good. But I think that what the market looked at was, oh, even with us being dovish as we are, we're not ripping at an insane amount. But what I think is going to end up happening over the next couple, and oh, dude, and exactly like that, Lauren, you said strange. When it smells like fish, it's a fish, right? Like when it's strange, it's fucking strange, and I don't trust it. Like we're pushing higher and higher with like less and less volume by the fucking day. So I don't trust it, and I'm just not going to trade it. But yeah, I think that what's going to happen is we're going to see inflation continue to move up. Next month, I think is going to get significantly worse, and I think that going into like end of March, end of March is when we will see that rejection, if we get the rejection. But long story short, I think that we're going to see inflation start to creep up. I think it's going to scare the shit out of everyone. I think we're going to see the Fed quickly switch to tightening again, and then it's going to be this like year and a half thing of tighten. Like, all right, we tighten, the market hurts. Then we start to see inflation runs, or we start to weaken to help the market. And then as we get more dovish, we start to see CPI run back up. So then we start to tighten. So the market starts to hurt. So then CPI goes down. So then we lean off. And it's like this whole cycle that shouldn't happen, but it will happen because of two things. Politicians kick the fucking can down the curb or down the road all the time, right? Like not only politicians, Fed chairs, the whole Federal Reserve, fucking everybody, right? They just don't want to deal with it. So they just kick every problem down the fucking road instead of just going down as history as the worst Fed chair in history, but doing what is actually right and fuck it, right? Like what I feel should have happened. I'm also a very extreme individual, but like tighten ASAP, put the market through a year of hurt, right? Get this over with. Because what's happening is, and you guys are probably seeing this, you're finally getting to the point where you just won't spend the money, right? Like as a consumer, be honest with yourself. You're probably finally now getting to the point where you're like, this is fucking terrible. Like, I don't want to spend $7 on eggs. I'm tired of buying like this car. I'm tired of working 14 hours a day for this fucking apartment that's just like ridiculous. Like, and I bet you guys are starting to feel fed up. And I'm feeling fed up. And I know that like I am so fucking blessed, and I love you guys so much, seriously, from the bottom of my heart, that I live such a blessed life that even when I am starting to get this way, I know it's a problem because I live a very nice life. But when I am like, I'm not fucking doing this anymore, I'm not spending this money like on eggs or whatever it is, you know it's a problem. And I think that what should have happened is we should have tightened so aggressively, and the feeling that we have right now, or I should say that I believe that the consumer has, the average everyday consumer, the feeling the consumer has right now, they should have felt last year, but they didn't. And so this whole system is taking longer than I think it should have. I think we could have seen a V-shaped recovery, honestly, if we had just done what we should have, but then SPY would have plunged to 300. Like, and that's the thing. If you were to look at this, everybody was calling SPY 300, 350, but instead we bounced. I just don't trust it. It smells like fish. I ain't fucking with it. And we'll see what happens. If I'm wrong and it rips all-time highs, it's whatever. Let me see. Where'd you learn how to trade? Man, so I learned how to trade. So I started trading back in like 2014, and it was just not worth it. Like I got into a TD Ameritrade account. At the time, I was spending $8 round trip, and I only had $1,000 to trade with. So you do the math, right? I put $1,000 into a trade. I spend $8 to get in, $8 to get out. That's like a 1.6% return I need just to break even. And I was like, fuck this. And then I saw Robinhood came out, and I was like, oh, dude, like a free broker? Like, that sounds good. And so I started messing with that. And I started just trading and watching indicators and stuff. And when Ricky Gutierrez like first started his YouTube channel, like long time ago, like I don't even think Graham Stephan had a YouTube channel at the time. And I had found out about Ricky, got into his Discord, and like messed around with that. And I was not a fan of that style of trading, and I lost a lot of money. And then I started looking into trading, like, okay, how do professionals trade? Like, what's the mindset, right? Like the biggest mindset too. And that's how you can tell a fake from, not them saying Ricky's a fake or anybody, but like that's how you can usually tell a fake than somebody who's serious, is like the mindset around it. Like, I don't have to get on here and like show a ton of flashy shit and flashy charts and like cars and like all, like I will tell you not to buy that shit. It's fucking stupid. It's virtue signaling for people you're never going to give a shit about, who will never care about you. Like, it doesn't matter. But I just feel that like there are a lot of people who beat around the idea of like what trading actually is, and tries to like being a trader is like the new rapper. Like back in 07, like everyone was a rapper. Like that's what you did. Now everyone's like, yo, I'm into crypto. Like I'm a trader. Like, yo, I got a wallet, which is cool. I'm happy that we're taking more control of our finances, but I started trading back then from there. And then I started looking into like, all right, well, like how do actual traders make money? Because there are like 10% of traders who actually make money. I know there are. So how do I do that? And then I started actually looking into professional traders and their mindset, like how they looked at things, how they viewed things. And I actually got a lot of my trading skills outside of trading. But as far as who I learned from, Mark Douglas is like the number one person I learned from. And the main reason I started a YouTube channel is because, like, not that I care so much about the guy, but the guy died. And like, if he was teaching nowadays what he was teaching in the 80s, right? Like, he could help the world so much when it comes to trading. Because once I started implementing even the smallest of things that he talks about, like I saw my trading change drastically, and not any of it had to do with technical analysis. None of it had to do with indicators. None of it had to do with what's the best charting software. None of it had to do with whose trades am I following. None of it had to do with any of it. And I just like realized that like who I am outside of the market is who I am inside of the market. And I have this unrealistic expectation that I'm going to go into the market with the smartest fucking players in the world, with the most amount of money, with the most amount of everything, and that I'm going to go take their cash. Because that's what you're doing. You're taking people's money. Like not only in the market, but in life, right? Like, you're watching this, you're watching an ad. The ad is therefore paying me, and at the end of the day, people are watching because they have value and provide value. And so when I was like learning, I was like, I have to figure this out. Like, I have to figure out what is the psychology behind this, and how come nobody is ever fucking talking about this? Like, nobody talks about it. And it's so weird because it seems like the biggest thing that's implemented in my trading. Because I was looking at like Wall Street and I was like, dude, if this wasn't my money, I'd be an animal. Like, if this was not my capital that I was trading with, I'd be an animal, because it doesn't matter at all. And then I started treating it like it wasn't my money, and everything changed. I started taking $100 positions instead of $1,000 positions. I started dialing back. I started testing numbers. And, you know, people have this idea that like they can go into the market and take the money from the people who are there, but like not put the work into it. Like, you really think, this is not me, I'm going to come off like an asshole, but I feel that sometimes when I talk like this, it helps to get through, specifically to thick-headed people like myself. But I had to really say this to myself, okay? And this could be a little over the edge as far as like intensity. But you really think that you're going to wake up, you're going to go out into the financial market, this battlefield, right? Where you have guys who've been doing this for forever. You're going to go in with no fucking knowledge. You think you have knowledge, but like you didn't dedicate your life to this. You're going to go out there and you're going to take money from them. Like, you really think that's going to work? Like, do you think that if you got into an octagon with Islam or Habib or just any top 10 fighter, you think that you could just go in there off the fucking couch and ragdoll them? Like, that shit isn't going to fucking work. Like, it's just not, and it's not going to work in the market. Like, half-assing isn't going to work in the market. And when I say half-assing, I don't mean sitting here for hours upon hours upon hours just looking at charts. When I say half-assing, I mean like your discipline, right? Like, it's funny enough, but on my calendar, like I have big blocks of deep work that I spend deep work every single week. This is the shit that people don't do. They don't focus on actually progressing their trading and looking at themselves as to why this isn't working, actually looking at all of their trades, and instead of saying like, well, this setup didn't work, this setup didn't work, be like, why did I do this? Like, I didn't even want to get into this. I didn't want to get, how many times have you been there? I didn't want to get into this trade, but I saw this guy get into it, or I saw Pete get into it, or I blanked, like, or I just got worried, or like, how many times does that happen? Right? Like, that should never happen. That's the first thing we have to think about, is like, how do we get around that? And how do we figure out why we cannot control our emotions? The name is Mark Douglas, and the book is called Trading in the Zone. He has The Disciplined Trader, Trading in the Zone, like a ton of different books over there. But all these guys think the same, right? Like, they all think the same. They don't care what the next couple of trades are, and you shouldn't either. And you know, I that's why I started trading publicly and started this channel and everything, was like, I wanted to share more of like my trading and my journey and everything that has brought to me in general. You know what I mean? All right, let's go through. Maybe we can do a short. We did that. Thank you for reading the feedback. Your channel is 10 times better now. Thank you so much. Yeah, so we have a Discord community. Shameless plug. If you guys aren't a part of it, go check it out. It's free. The link is going to be in the description. I can also just throw it in the chat. But one of the things we wanted to do is provide more value there. As an entrepreneur, and you guys will notice this just like as you grow in life, but like the more successful you get, the more opportunities there will be. And unfortunately, opportunities can be bad things, even if they come off as good things, right? The opportunity of having a good following is that I have unlimited videos I can create, and or unlimited things that I can do. And when I started our Discord community, like, it was just very simple, and I wanted to give all the value I could. Your guys doesn't look like this because I have a bunch of other stuff on here, but like, I wanted to give value. And I think that what happened was I started giving too much value, but not too much value like you don't deserve the value, but too much value kind of like indicators. Like, I'm giving you too much shit. Less shit is better. In all aspects, less is always better. And so what I'm trying to do now is, I've been running surveys, like my brother's been messaging them out, I've been putting them out on our email list, and I've been asking you guys directly, like, what do you like? What do you want? And what I want to do with this channel and with the Discord community is create a system, like the THT, the Traders Helping Traders system. And instead of having, which I love all of our analysts, but like, we're looking to bring more on, like 20, 30 analysts, like all these things. Like, I just want to have one system that like, you can go, you can get the system, you can learn, you can hang out, you can chat. I can hop on a live stream and just, because a lot of the value is just me fucking around. I know that might sound egotistical, but like, I could sit here and mess with this bot for 2 hours and not even say a word. And I feel that it would be entertaining to a lot of you, because you just want to see how I'm messing around with different components. So that's what I want to start doing more, is just focusing on that and keeping shit just honest and simple and raw. And I feel that as we move into like a very deep AI world, we're going to be missing this, like the human interaction, you know? All right, let's hop off in a minute. Let's see, I got a lot to do. How'd you learn to trade? All right, and then another person which I have to shout out to is my buddy Ty, Volatile Alpha. Like, I was pushing everybody to him before I started my own group, and he is just phenomenal. Like, he was the first peer like that I met, like another trader friend that thought like me, that had the same ideas of like we were talking about with like Mark Douglas, that just like had that same resonation. I was like, dude, this person's sick. And then I started making my channel and started making all that because I was like, Ty, you have to make videos, bro. Like, please, like you have more. What's up, dude? You have more, like, that's my brother, by the way, if you guys probably saw him on Discord. But I was like, you have so much, like, just so much knowledge. But like, I was like, dude, just share it. But the thing is, like, dude, it's tiring to do this, man. Like, I get it, you know, like it's fucking tiring, even for me to live stream sometimes, because it takes so much out of me. But yeah, he's phenomenal as well. And there's a lot of good other teachers out there. It's just depending upon your style. But curate your own style and realize like you don't have to sit there and scalp. You don't have to day trade. If you want to, it's cool, but like you don't have to. Less is more, right? Like I would say like you make the most progress in stillness. Let's see. Do you think Tesla's due for a pullback? I do think Tesla's due for a pullback, honestly. Let's see. DXY is going up. 10-year treasury bonds didn't surprise. I will pass that. I want to talk more about that too. I want to add more commodities to the server. Writing calls for 230 tops. That's not a bad move. Selling covered calls on Tesla for 230. That's a really good move. What's the name? We already went over that. Yeah, so it's Mark Douglas. I highly recommend him. Dr. Alex Elder is really good. Nassim Talib, his books are really good. They're really hard to digest. They really are. Tesla has $3 million puts expiring this Friday. I'm pretty sure at the current conditions, it's just going to go bust. I didn't see that flow, Zay. But you have to be worried about flow, because don't just follow flow blindly. That's everybody. Like even the bot that we pay for on the server for you guys, like don't even follow this shit blindly either, right? I put this here so that if you see some very unusual patterns, like this Google pattern, this is super unusual. These 3 ones that came through at 11 a.m. And then if we look at Black Box as well, which is like $100 service, you can see that these are those Google ones that came through, and we just give it to you guys for free. But like you have to be careful with that. You don't want to just follow every single flow, because 90% of flow is shit. Right, especially $3 million. $3 million on like DraftKings, or $3 million on Affirm, $3 million on Palantir, something like that. That's a more sizable, but $3 million on like Tesla Weekly, they're probably out of them. But I don't disagree with the fact that it might pull back. And looking at Tesla too, on the 1 hour, like we were saying, we could see a drop back down to the 190s. Thank you, Peter. Just downloaded Trading in the Zone as a free PDF. Yes, fuck yeah. And that's the thing too, like the last thing before we hop off is I just want to instill to you guys that like this is never over. Like your trading journey is never over. The content is never over. Like I see so many of my friends who are content creators and they're like, dude, like I can't think of more content. Like I need to make more like different content. And I'm like, you really don't. You really, like everything in life is simple. Like you just have to hammer it into people's fucking heads, because I am one of those people that I don't learn the first time, and I have to go back. I literally read, and I watch this too. It's a really good, hold on, YouTube. What's his name? Mark Douglas. So Mark Douglas, this one, Trading in the Zone Workshop, part 1, and then there's 4, and then there's Mark Douglas Trading Psychology. Dude, this is from like the 1980s. I listen to this every month for the past 8 years, because even I don't implement it. It's different to know it, but implementing it is entirely different. May I give you a recommendation as well? The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. Dude, I literally I read that book every month as well. Just funny enough. Where is it? Yeah, I just bought it and I was listening to it. I got 28 minutes left. But I listen to this book every month as well. Like all these books are phenomenal. I try to read at least a couple of books a week, and usually try to do hardback, because actually reading a book is tough. Can you explain that Tesla covered call strategy? Yeah, so the strategy is not based off of this bot, but what I was talking about was just selling covered calls on Tesla. So I have a video, I can do a live stream on it. And what I want to start doing with you guys actually is live streams on lesson plans. So if we have enough people who want to learn how to sell cash secured puts, like I will just do a live stream going over cash secured puts. If you want to learn how to use Black Box, or like I'll do that. Like, if you guys have ideas for lessons that you want me to do, I will do it up. As far as doing something like a covered call strat, basically you would own the shares and then you would sell a covered call for a price you think the stock will not go above by a specific price. Covered call Peter DeCarlo. Yeah, so if you type in covered call and then you type in Peter DeCarlo, you can see here, there's a bunch of videos, but here's a covered call video that I can chuck in the chat for you. But all you're doing is selling it at a price you think the stock will not go above. So let's say you think Tesla can't get above 220 by this Friday. you'd sell a covered call for 220. And if it closes above 220, you're forced to sell your shares. If not, you make all the premium that you would have made. All right, guys, enjoy your day. As always, check out our Discord if you guys want to learn more. Once you're in there, go to the upgrade section. In the upgrade section, it's only $1 a day. You'll get access to all of my bot entry and exits, all of my personal entry and exits, all of our senior analysts entry and exits, all the unusual flow for the day, book map. Like, basically, it's just my trading journal and my library, and like everything I put in there is over there, as well as much, much more. So come hang out, guys. Thanks for all the support. Link to the Discord is in the description and within the chat. And have a good day, guys. I'll see you. Peace. And thank you guys for your time as well. I saw that too, Lauren. Thank you guys for your time. Peace.